Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Jordan here. Today we're going to be working on a project in the amusement park. So I've got a bunch of LEGO Creator Expert rides in the amusement park, like that roller coaster, the haunted house, the carousel, the giant loop coaster, the mixer, and then the Ferris wheel right over there. So we're actually going to be working on improving the Ferris wheel, but first let's see if my roller coaster can operate. Come on, you. I know you got it in ya. Make it back to the chain. Come on. Oh yeah, it can. It operates. Woo! I should really hook up a motor to this thing. I had so much trouble with this thing. Like it just wasn't gliding around the track efficiently, but on its new level surface, it seems to be operating perfectly. So that's exciting, but hand cranking it isn't the best method. I definitely got to get a motor hooked up to this thing because then it's just autonomous. You don't have to hand crank it. Like, look at me down here between the fence doing all the work. It's fun watching these rides go around. It's like, especially this one, just the roller coaster car going around the track is just so much fun. Pretty fired up on it. How about these guys? Woo! They look pretty excited, that's for sure. So today in this video, I'm actually going to work on upgrading the Ferris wheel. And you know what? I've already given this thing an upgrade. And that was very easy to do. All I did was rip out this IR receiver from one of my trains. Luckily I had a spare, and I hooked it up to the battery box and also the motor. And now I'm able to control the speed of it just using one of my train remotes. So I can speed it up or slow it down. If you don't use the IR receiver, you can't regulate the speed of it, and it just goes like insanely fast. I much prefer the Ferris wheel when it goes at this speed. It's just so much more realistic. The issue is you're stuck with all of these wires. It doesn't look good at all. And you know what? The Ferris wheel in general is just sort of like a weird shape. For example, this 16 by 16 plate right here, the green one, that wasn't even there before. This thing was just like hollow. And it was sort of hollow in the front as well, but I've done a great job of blending it in with the tiles and just making some slight modifications to eliminate some of that green plate. But what I want to do today is actually work on tidying up the backside of it, because my goal is to make this amusement park look better than it's ever looked before. And in order to do that, I think this just needs to look a lot better. So I thought to myself, I could do this one of two ways. I could add a bunch of trees and plant life and bushes back there to try and hide this battery box. Or what I could do is actually build a structure that conceals the battery box and IR receiver. And then I was like, well, why not just merge those two ideas? So today I'm going to be scouring through my parts, specifically I think the nougat drawer, and I'm going to build a structure that's going to conceal those electrical components. The first thing I did was grab all the electrical components and then just sort of place that on a plate. And actually sits on two 8x8 plates. So it's 8 by 16 studs. And that just gives us enough room to give us like a nice gap in there and also case all of these electrical components. And the electrical cable comes through there. I just put a 1x2 plate and a tile, and that left a nice gap between that brick that goes over top of it. So that's the base structure. And the cool thing about it, on the front side, there's actually a little service door. And over top of that service door is some curved slopes just to provide a little awning. And then I just grabbed some Technic components, and that's sort of like the electricity maybe coming in from the ground, going into the battery box and powering the Ferris wheel. I think that's just a nice little added detail, fairly easy to do. Now I just need to go around and finish building my nougat walls, and then build some sort of roof, and I'm going to have to add some sort of detail to the roof as well. But I think it's a great start. So I decided to use these really neat black slopes that I found on the pad wall to create the roof. The roof was a little bit tricky because, of course, it had to accommodate two things. The IR receiver sensor that needs to be exposed, otherwise it won't be able to communicate with the remote. So I'm not able to carry over the same design because I don't want to cover it up, right? So I just put a little slope there. And then also the button. So I made that almost like a little, I don't know, exhaust or something, I guess. But this is actually the button right in there. I didn't have any of these in black, so I just decided to change this to light gray and then make these little mini ones match the light gray. And that just sort of indicates where the battery where the button is to turn on the battery box. And then when you push that down, it turns on. You can see the green light and off. Because on the bottom of the brick and the plate, it's just one of those pieces. And that will just push the green button on top of the battery box. So what do you think was better, you know, the before or the after? We've got like a little service building for the Ferris wheel. Yeah, just little touches of detail like that, I think, really transform the sets and just sort of upgrade them. I'm sure there's some more stuff that I could potentially add to this little mock. Glad I added the electrical cable. I think that's really neat. And also I added a snot brick beside that with a little gauge and calculator element. I did some Lego Technic surgery just so I could run that motor underneath that axle just to conceal the cord a little bit. And then I put 4 jumpers down in light gray and also a yellow tile, and just push that down there. And there's our little electrical building. Let's make sure the motor's on. Looks like it is, or the battery box, I should say. And now should be able to get it running. There we go. Perfect. Our little structure is now complete. Originally, I thought there'd be a lot more room for vegetation around the little structure, but when it's 8 by 16 studs, it doesn't really leave a whole lot of space. So I decided to create a little pathway using 1 by 2 nougat plates. And that pathway goes up to the electrical panel there, the gauge, around back there to the little ladders that service the Ferris wheel. And then on all sides of the path, there is some vegetation that was built using some 1 by 2 slopes and also some cheese slopes. Just adds a real nice texture and sort of finishes the area off. However, with that said, there is one more thing that this Ferris wheel needs. And that, of course, is minifigures. One of the staff members is making their way to the electrical room, and there's another one just around the corner who's on break. He's got his Starbucks coffee. And then every single car on the Ferris wheel now has 1 or 2 minifigures. All of the minifigures have different facial expressions. Some are enjoying themselves, some are not. Some are Han Solo. Some have a friend. Some are looking toward the Disney castle. And this guy right over here has had a little bit too much fun at the park, it looks like. Tried to go on the Ferris wheel to have an enjoyable time, a nice easy time, and it did not result in how he intended. That's fun how we have minifigures in every single car now. It gobbles up a lot of minifigures because there are a lot of cars, right? Some have delicious treats as well, which is ice cream or popsicles. And I just think it adds a nice story to the amusement park. Pretty happy that every single car is full, that's for sure. And I'm pretty happy with the upgrades that I was able to make today to the Ferris wheel as well. I think that electrical room really sort of takes it to the next level and completes this ride, along with the tiling. And then of course the minifigures, because right out front here, you can see there's some guests that are waiting to board the ride. We've got a family right there. And then there's a queue, little lineup full of people right there, and then also some people exiting the ride as well. And eventually this amusement park is going to have a lot of minifigures. You can see all of the exposed studs all throughout the amusement park, so all of these studs here are going to get filled up with a bunch of minifigures and stories. Also, I'm thinking I'm going to build a masonry wall, sort of sheltering or separating the lake, I guess, from the actual area where guests can walk around. And then I have the 1 by 2 tiles on order to finish the tiling off over there, and that's part of the reason why I'm not really moving forward with minifigures in more details, just because I can't really do much until those 1 by 2 tiles arrive. And once those arrive, I'll be able to pretty much finish the tiling, add all the minifigures, start upgrading all of those green spaces with more trees, slopes, cheese slopes, bushes, hedges, and all that detail. But I was really happy to get this detail added today. So yeah, there we go, everybody. There's my custom little electrical shack for the Ferris wheel. Significantly upgraded in my opinion. Thank you so much for popping on by. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and have yourselves a fantastic day. Farewell.